Yeah, we've already seen the 2020 presidential election start to impact markets. Maybe the first sign of that was as we see the list of candidates for the Democratic nomination to challenge President Trump in 2020 start to discuss their views and policies for different segments of the economy. The one really notable example would be healthcare, where things like Medicare for all, things like a single payer system are fairly controversial and certainly impact the sector. As some of the candidates have gotten out there to talk about that, we've seen that ripple into markets and create some volatility in that sector. So we do think the impact of the election cycle is upon us and will likely continue. Now, in terms of the ultimate outcome, it's still very early. We're nearly a year and a half away from the election. We really need to see which candidate becomes most likely to challenge President Trump on the Democratic side. Once we understand that, then we can have a better feel for the outcome for individual sectors. Certainly, if President Trump were to be reelected, that will mean probably more positive things for more economically sensitive areas of the market. Certainly financials I would put in that camp. If we were to see a transition and a different candidate win the presidential election in 2020, it will largely depend on which faction of the Democratic Party, because there are some pretty wide-ranging views on which sectors will benefit. And in general, I think it's a bit early for us to be making too many predictions about the election outcome. Yeah, I think a real important characteristic of Franklin Income Fund to understand from our long history of managing income strategies is the approach that we take to combine asset classes and ultimately having extraordinarily flexible approach to blending those asset classes. Income is something that really drives the approach of the strategy. So as we look across multiple asset classes, how do we combine them in the most effective way to deliver that attractive income to our investors, while also maintaining prospects with gradual capital appreciation if equity markets are advancing. We approach it in a way that really looks beyond just the asset class level and really looks down to individual companies and the opportunities that may exist across their capital structure. I think that makes our approach fairly unique and something that, as you look at our individual holdings, it's very common to see Franklin Income Fund combine not just equity securities and convertible securities, but also debt securities from many of the companies that we're investing in. And I view that as something that we approach in a dynamic fashion, and we really seek to bring in the expertise of our credit and equity analysts combined. Gives us a more holistic view of what's driving a company's fundamentals and the prospects for different securities in their capital structure.
投资一定有风险，基金投资有赚有赔，申购前应详阅公开说明书。